Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I give you the opportunity to test your comic book grading skills up against actual results from CGC. I'm showing you an open box here because this is part 2 in a 5-part series that I'm going to be doing featuring this submission to CGC. The submission was made available to me and to you and to all of us to test our comic book grading skills by friend to the channel, Octavio. Octavio, thank you once again so much for making your submission available to us. This submission started off with 15 economy tier books that just got back from CGC. In part 1, we looked at the first 3 books that came out of this submission, and in part 2, we'll be looking at the next 3. If you haven't already watched part 1, I would refer you to the card right there. There's some information in the intro to that one that you might want to know before watching this video. But moving forward with this video, let me let you know for the uninitiated exactly what we do here. First, we take a look at the books that I will be talking about in this video today when they were raw. I made video of them before they got sent off to CGC. We look at that video and we assess the books for any flaws, any damage, anything that might impact the grades negatively. Then we come up with our best guess as to what we think the grade might be. Once we've done that, we take 3 books out of this box and we look at the results from CGC. We compare the results up against our guesses and we see, how did we do? Did we nail them? Are we expert graders? Good for us. More times than not, I'm at least a little bit wrong, and it gives me the opportunity to learn more about what CGC is thinking. And of course, I will provide the graders' notes for reference in that capacity as well. All right. That's it. Let's go ahead right now and take a look at the next 3 books from the submission when they were raw. All right, first up we have Fantastic Four issue number 66. CGC notes on the label that the 2-part origin of him, also known as Warlock, begins. Him does not appear in this comic book, though. His cocoon appears. This book is not in great condition. It's got a lot of damage, a lot of color-breaking damage. And frankly, man, these books only look as good as they do because they got the press that they got. I can't imagine what they look like before the press. But after the press, they present really, really nicely. But all the color-breaking damage is impossible to ignore, and this practically looks like tears there. But I don't think they quite are. Now, there's a lot of creasing there in the bottom right-hand corner. There are 2 copies of this book that we are going to be looking at. We are using that corner to identify this book so that we can keep the grades separate. The back of this book looks really good. Some creasing already right there. It's interesting when there is an accumulation of defects on these books, grading them. I am using nothing but observation in my own grading techniques. You know, I'm learning by doing videos like this. There are some things that I know and I've heard, but I haven't read any books. I should read the CGC book. But this book looks really, really good. It just has damage that is undeniable. So even though it looks really good, I think it's going to get 3.5. Next up, we have the second copy of Fantastic Four issue number 66. Once again, this one has less of that creasing in the bottom right-hand corner, but it has very similar damage here along the spine. It's part of the reason I couldn't use the spine to differentiate one book from the other. I mean, all the damage makes each book unique, but at a glance, it's a similar damage pattern on this book and the other book. Maybe a little bit more color rub on this one. But a lot less creasing, except for as I speak, we see this whole long edge there. But remember that one section that was right here on the other book that was practically ripped. It was so bad. And of course, there's a lot less creasing there, but there's still so much of it. There's no way that you're saying that that's inconsequential. But it is better looking
than the first copy. Same goes on the back here. At first glance, I can tell that this book looks better than the first copy. In fact, the back of this cover looks really pretty nice. It's probably nicer than it should be for the grade that it's going to get. It's my understanding that front covers do impact the grade more heavily than back covers. So you could have a perfect back cover and a tore up front cover. The front cover is going to weigh a little more heavily. But this looks really, really good on the back. Decent on the front. There's just too much damage. I think it's a 5.0. And finally, we have The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 124. This is the first appearance of the Man-Wolf. This book is not doing very well. It's got a lot of the same damage as we've seen on the other ones. Comparing them to the first two books that we saw, this one, off the bat, looks closer to the one that I graded lower, especially because of all this color rub here at the top. We're going to see multiple copies of this book as well throughout these videos. We're identifying this copy by all the color rub at the top. It looks okay. For me, if this was a collectible that I was going after, that tear at the bottom would be something that would keep me away from it. And tears are very deadly to grades. But mostly it's all that color rub at the top. It muddies the black too much for me and makes it, from an eye appeal standpoint, less interesting, less desirable. There's staining on the back. Staining is also another big problem when it comes to the grade. Heavy creases there. Wow. But they were flattened out by the press. But staining is very bad for grades. It depends on how big of an area, I believe, the staining takes up. There was a decent amount of staining, but it was small in how much area it took up total. So it might not hurt like too much, but it's definitely going to hurt some. I think this book's going to get a 4.0.
All right, so now you've had the opportunity to take a look at the next 3 books from the submission when they were wrong. You have your best guess as to what you think the grade might be. I've shared with you what I think the grade might be. Now it's time to find out what the actual results from CGC are. So, like I mentioned in the last video, I'm just pulling these out at random. There are some multiples. I have little kind of indicators of ways that I know which one is which, and I'll be looking that up here as I pull them out one at a time. Something else I'll remind you all of is that these are all mid-grade books to low-grade books, and let me flip it this way, actually. Mid to low-grade books, and this is a grade range where I don't have a ton of experience with grading, so this is a great opportunity for me to practice my grading in the mid-grade range. But let's go ahead and take a look at the next book. Okay, this is Fantastic Four, issue number 66. Now, there are 2 of these in here. So what I need to do is I need to look at the front. I'm going to keep the grade covered here. And I'm going to look at this bottom right-hand corner, which I've used as a way to indicate which book is which. We're going to call this the one with lots of creases, as opposed to the other one that has not as many creases. So let me go ahead and look at my photo here with the one with lots of creases. Okay, here's the one with lots of creases. I gave this book a 3.5. Keep in mind what grade you gave it, and let's see what the results from CGC are. Okay, once again, I don't have a lot of practice in this range, so if I'm even close, I'm going to be happy about it. Was it a 3.5 or was I close? 5.0, that's not close. I was too rough on this book. They are saying that this is a 5.0. I feel like that's a generous 5.0 in my own opinion. There's some sections of this book that are not great. It's stained. It almost looks like ripped here in the front, but those are just deep, deep creases. But so it goes. I was wrong. I always defer to CGC. I'm never going to assume that like I had it right and they had it wrong. They're the professionals, so I'm going to defer to them. I wasn't way off, but I was off more than I'd like to be off. So it's good to know that a book in this condition is much more likely to get a 5.0 than the 3.5 that I expected. Okay. Not too shabby, not too shabby. I have to admit, I recently submitted some books of my own that were in this grade range, and in general, I was too harsh on them. So my grading on that book tracks with me being more rough on mid-grade books than I should be. And here we have it, the second copy of Fantastic Four, issue number 66. This is the one with fewer corner creases, and I gave this one a 5.0. Now, considering the fact that I thought that the other one was a 3.5 and it got a 5.0, and I thought this one was a 5.0, it's probably, I'm going to guess, going to get actually a 6.0 or a 6.5. But let's see. What grade did it get? Okay. If it's a 5.0, I won't know what to do with myself. But if it's 6.0 or 6.5, that'll make sense to me. So let's go ahead and take a look. It's a 6.0. Okay, so that tracks. I am at least relatively consistent with my assessment, meaning that I was too hard on it, to a fairly consistent degree. And so that's good. Consistency is important. So as I adjust my expectations and I learn from making videos like this and grading and then getting the results for books like this, I learned that all I have to do is just generally just shift my expectation, 2 or 3 grade increments up, and then I should be okay. But so there's some consistency there on my part, which is good. But this is nice book to have in a 6.0. Issue 66 and a 6.0. I like all the sixes on that. Very nice. And I mean, it definitely looks like a nicer book than the 5.0. So it's no surprise there to me that it got a better grade. All right, let's go ahead and move to the last book that we will be looking at in today's video. And that book is, Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 124. Now, there are 3 copies of this book in this submission. We'll only be looking at one of them today. Probably the next 2 will be in a following video. Oh, excuse me, there's only 2 of these. So the next one will be in a following video. So let me go ahead and take a look. I have ways, so the way I know the difference between these 2 ones is one of them is lower grade and has a lot of color rub along the top. The other one is higher grade and doesn't. This one has the color rub along the top. So this is the lower grade of the 2, which I gave a 4.0. So considering what I'm learning in today's video, maybe it's going to get a 5.0 or 5.5. But once again, my guess was 4.0. Let's see what the results are. Okay, there it is. Was it a 4.0 or was it more like what I expect now, which would be a 5.0 or a 5.5? A 5.0. Okay, great. So once again, I'm really happy, not with being wrong, I want to get the grades right, but I'm learning, and that's what I'm happy about. And that's why I make these videos for myself and for all of you as a learning opportunity. And what I'm learning is that I'm consistent, but I'm consistently too harsh in this grade range. So this is a really great learning opportunity for me. I hope it's also a great learning opportunity for you. We'll be seeing another copy of this Amazing Spider-Man 124 probably in the next video. So make sure you're subscribed so that you're notified, hit that notification bell so that you're notified when I post parts 3 through 5 of this series. In addition, if you like this content and appreciate it, please hit that like button. Likes are very much appreciated by me. All right, thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.